So this is the El Camino automotive program. We got Moises right here, Carlos, Aaron, and me, Eddie. And today we're going to be testing throttle position sensors.
Alright, so today we're going to be taking a look at throttle position sensors. We're going to be testing them and then we're going to be seeing if they're faulty.
But first, before we head inside the shop, we're going to go ahead and make sure everyone has their safety goggles on.
And after that, we're going to be testing a vehicle, which is a Honda Prelude, one of the customer's cars.
All right, so what are we working with here, Eddie?
Alright guys, we're going to work on the 1998 Honda Prelude, 2.2 liters, VTEC.
Now, where would the throttle position sensor be located on this car?
It'll be next to the throttle body. Usually that's where all the throttle position sensors are located at. It's located right here in the back. You can't really see it more. Why don't you give us a good angle so you can see it good?
All right, bear with me, guys. I'm going to give you guys another camera view. And that's the throttle position sensor we're talking about right there, as you can see.
Now we're gonna go back inside the classroom and show you how throttle position works.
All right, guys, so now we're in the classroom. We're going to go ahead and explain what a throttle position sensor is. But first, we got to find out where it is. Usually they're mounted, most commonly mounted on the throttle body. They're a potentiometer, which is a 3-wire. And what those 3 wires are is one of them is a 5-volt reference, a signal, and a ground return. All right, what our 5-volt reference is basically what our reading is supposed to show as we're stepping on the gas pedal. So now, with that said, that's our signal. Our signal wire is connected to a little needle. What that little needle does is, as you're pressing down closer to wide open throttle, you should be seeing around 5 volts, close to 5. 4.5 is the most common reading that we see. And at idle, you're just sitting down, you should see around 0.5 to 0.7 volts. So what this signal wire does, as it's going up or down, whatever, it returns it back to the PCM. So now what our ground return is basically it's grounded. If this isn't there, it's a short circuit, which means it won't work. That's why we need that. But our most important one is our signal, which sends our voltage back to the PCM. All right, so now that it's back to the PCM, what it does is it helps out with our traction control, ABS, fuel injectors, cruise control, clear flood mode, torque converted clutch engagement. What that basically means is our shift points, when to go, and our ignition timing. So now that we understand the throttle position sensor, we're gonna go ahead and test it out first. And the way to test it out is using a DVOM, which is a digital voltmeter, a scan tool, and an oscilloscope, also known as a graphic multimeter. Now let's head back outside. Go.
Alright, so right here we're going to be testing the throttle position sensor. As you can see over here, it's at 9% where it has to kind of be. It's at 9% because the throttle has to be partially open for it to allow some outside air to be inside the motor. And basically what the system does, it's going to show at what angle the throttle position valve is going to be located in. And as the driver presses on the gas pedal, it should increase. But let's see if the system allows us to see more detail about it based on a graph once he turns on the car.
All right.
So at this moment, the car is on and we're reading a 9%, which is still normal. And as you can see, it tells us we have a graph over here. And it shows us at 20%, 27%, which is the maximum of what it could read based on what it's been input right now. So I'm gonna have Moy over here press on the gas pedal, and you should see this go up. If you just press a little bit more, it should go more than 27, 19. And it has different views of how to see it. And there you go, that's the digital way of how to see if your throttle position sensor is actually working.
All right, before we get into any testing, we went ahead and backprobed our throttle position sensor using a T-pin. as you can see.
So there's days where you might not have a schematic with you and you're at home. What you could do is little things like this. What you could do is first find your power or resistance by changing for continuity in this moment. This is going to be for our resistance. So what we did was key is off. A little difficult over here. We have this on resistance, continuity. When you hear the sound, that's how we know this is our ground. We have a good ground. Now that we know which one's our ground, we have to see which is our signal and our power. So in order to check for voltage, we have to have the key on, car off. So the key is on and car is off, and we're checking for voltage. There we go, we got our 5 point voltage. So now that we established our ground and voltage, we now know which one's our signal wire. And based on our signal wire, we're gonna see the angle of the throttle position sensor. All right, so this is our idle voltage, 0.5. And as the gas pedal goes up, get closer to a 5 point voltage reference. This one is gonna be a 4.5. And if you want to see if it has any glitches, you can do the same thing. Here we just have to do it a little much slower so you can see if there's any glitches.
Now let's do it with the car on.
Now we're gonna do it with the car on.
So as we can see, as Eddie go ahead and moving the throttle cable, we're seeing an increase in voltage.
There you have it. We just tested a TPS sensor by not having a schematic. So this is why we highly recommend that people print out the schematics for show of proof that everything just makes sense. Instead of going through the hassle of going through each wire and not really knowing what you're testing for. Right here it says specs and everything. The reason why this will make it much easier is because it has a color schematic over here. It tells you the connectors pin call out, the color of it, which that means it's yellow with stripes of blue. That would be our voltage, reference voltage. Then we have a TPS sensor signal, which is red and black. And our ground would be green and black.
Now to go over the ways of testing, or the ways to tell that the throttle position sensor is bad. While Carlos was testing the sensor or measuring the voltage, if we were going to see an uneven spike in voltage, that would be one of the ways to tell that the sensor is bad. Another way to tell that the sensor is bad is if we unplug it and the car idles better than with it plugged in. Well, thank you for watching. This is basically the operation and testing of the throttle position sensor. This is Team Resistors from El Camino. Thank you for watching.